Good day, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Lesson 5 of Free Piano Lessons and Tips to Survive the Quarantine Apocalypse. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Well, this is the second time that I have a camera person working for me. The lovely Stephanie from Bread and Gravy is doing all the camera work. I am Jess from Bread and Gravy. She's doing a magnificent job. The coffee she made for me, however, tastes like dirt. And I asked her, I said, why does it taste like dirt? And she said, what do you expect? It was ground this morning. So anyway, if you remember, the last things we went over was all the 4 top chords inside a key. We did the key of C, but obviously you can do it with any key, which you already know how to do. You use the formula 1 1/2, 1 1 1/2, find your key, then find your 3 chords based off the 1, the 4, and the 5, and so on and so forth. But in C, that we know, in the key of C, we know, and what we've worked on is you have your C chord, your 1 chord, you have your F chord, your 4 chord, you have your G chord, your 5 chord, you have your A minor chord, your 6 chord. There are lots of infinite chords you could use, no matter what key you're playing in. But any key you are playing in, those are going to be your most common and top 4. So you can play so many songs with them. So what I'm going to show you right now is going to bridge a little bit from yesterday with today. Yesterday we did Let It Be using some of these chords and their inversions. For every one of those chords, there's 3 ways to play it. Starting with the C note, starting with the E note, or starting with the G note. The inversions, they come in very handy. So come on over here to the piano and we'll start talking about what we did yesterday and going. Okay. Yesterday we were playing Let It Be, do you remember? It was in the key of C. When I C, 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 G, 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 A minor, down to F. Remember that? So we were using all the 4 top chords inside that key. We were using the C, we were using the F, we were using the G, and we were using the A minor. And these 3 are so cool, they're right next to each other, right? No matter, even if there's inversions. Inversion. They're still right next to each other. F, G, A minor. The very visual and easy one to look at, the root chord. F, G, A minor. They're all together. So we were able to use those 4 chords to pretty much play that whole song. But today, well, not the whole song, right? You didn't do that. I'm a show off. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about how you can use those 4 chords to make your own songs any which way you want. A lot of people, when they want to learn how to piano, it's because they already kind of like to sing and they want to be able to play for themselves. So for you people, this is especially for you. You can come up with any original song, do anything you want, and I'm going to give you tips on how to pick the right chord / wall of sound you want during that. So let's go over Let It Be again. Instead of talking about what number chord it is, the 1, 4, 5, or 6, or the letter, the actual chord C, F, G, instead of doing that, we're going to talk about the feelings. So keep in trouble, no matter what you do. Keep in mind that in whatever key you're in, if you're in the key of C, then that's going to be your core root chord. That's going to be the 1, the C, as we already know. But like I said, I'm not going to be saying that during this. I'm going to be talking about the feelings. First, I will identify the feelings for you. The 1 chord is always going to be the most matter-of-fact. It's the chord, it's the root of the whole song. It's what the song is going to start with, probably, and it's what the song is going to end with, probably. There's also a lot of the 1 chord and the root in the middle. It's the most matter-of-fact, hey, here's what's going on chord there is. No matter what key you're in, it's going to be the 1. The 5, the G, is kind of like a secondary 1. It's also kind of strong and matter-of-fact, but different. So here's the 1. Going to the 5 now. Here's the 1. Hey, I'm telling you something. It's a really interesting story. And then the story gets a little different. It gets a little different. And now I'm going to go to the 6. And now the story gets sad. Now I'm going to the 4. Now the story gets... What is that? That's the pulling one, remember? 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th. That's the pulling one. It always wants to bring you back to the 1. So again, let it be in terms of emotion. when I'm matter of fact and matter of fact differently. But then it's sad and I feel a pull. Can I go home? Yeah, go home. And then make it different. And then get pulled again. Finish it off. Back to the one. So does that kind of make sense? So if you're sitting there with your own song in mind, your own melody, even if you could pick out your melody. Oh, here it is. Whatever it is. But if you're just going to sing, you don't care about picking out the melody. Why would you want to play the melody when you're going to sing it? So you have your voice, you have your song, you just don't know what to play with it. Well, you're almost always going to start with the one. So go ahead, start your song off, and then see where you're going. If you think your next line or your next couple of lines are sad, then go to the A minor, the 6. You know, I was walking down the street, I saw a dog, so I smiled, but then I realized he was pooping. And it was unexpected, it was sad, you didn't see that coming. But then it got different. But then another dog walked up and he said, nothing, 'cause he's a dog. And then I went home. See? So as your story develops, you'll know what kind of wall of sound to be in there. You can get more sophisticated later on, but for the top 4 chords, those are their general feelings. So you got that? So now go ahead and play anything you want on your own, right? Let me show you something, the inversions. Let me show you something with that. Because especially when you want to sit there and play something simple. C chord a bunch of times, but now I want to go to an F, but I don't want to go all the way up there. Oh, that's right, we learned that already. We could just play an inversion. I'm going to show you the most efficient way to play all the inversions while moving your hand as little as possible. There are a million variations, but I will try to show you the most efficient way. So we'll go from the 1 to the 4, from the 1 to the 4 to the 5 to the 6, and then back to the 1 again. We'll do that, okay? So 1, 4, 5, 6. See how my hand hardly ever moved? C, F, G, A minor. I just played all 4 chords that you're going to need in a key, and I barely moved my hand at all. So once you get to know the inversions, you really get versatile with it. That's the most efficient way to play all 4 of those chords with one hand. That's the most efficient way, but is that the only decision you're going to make, or the only reason you would make that decision? No, a lot of people choose the right inversion because it just matches what they hear as the melody. You often want the top note of the chord to be very close, if not spot on, with the melody line. It accentuates it. There's a C chord, right? But here's this inversion of a C chord. It's got that C as the top note. That's got a distinctive ring to it. Let's try this one. So if your melody is more up here, you're probably going to hit this chord. If your melody is more down here, you're going to want to hit this chord. This inversion. I mean, there's all the same chord, but different inversions. Make sense? I'm going to freak out when one of you answer me one of these days. Playing nothing but C right now. All that was nothing but C chords, different inversions, different inversions. So you want to play really, really simple while you're singing. I'll do an example. Let's do a 50 song. Let's forget originals for a second. 50 song while moving my hands as little as possible. So that means it's going to go from the 1 to the 6 to the 4 to the 5. But I'm going to be playing with inversions. All right, ready? Dun, 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 dun. Walk it down. 1, 6, 4, 5. Earth angel, will you be mine? darling dear, love you all the time. Walk it down. One. You get the idea? So, all right, back to originals. You can use that progression if you want and make up your own story. You know, I went to get I'm not going to do another song, sorry. But you could do that chord progression, or you can come up with your own based on the feelings of your words or your melody, however you're going along. And you'll get bored with that after a while, and that's when you realize that your verses are done and you need a bridge or a chorus or something like that. And then just change your formula up, whatever you were doing. If you were doing a 1 6. Yeah, 1 6 5 4. Well, now you can, for the bridge of the chorus, start with the 4. That's very common because it puts you in suspense, like it wants to pull you back to the 1, so it's dramatic. It's very common to start the chorus off with the 4. I love dogs. I love dogs. I really do. Dogs are cool. So you got all that? Whether you do or not, I'm not going to know. So I'm going to move on to the next thing that I'm doing today, which is introducing you to a blues scale. And when I first started trying to learn blues, I got so confused. I looked up all these books, and they had blues scale, pentatonic scale, blues minor scale, so many different names and so many different scales and so many different formulas. It was very confusing, and I eventually gave up. Years later, I learned it. And so this scale is the most common one. There's several scales you're going to use when you're playing. So this is more geared now towards people who are more interested in playing with their right hand than singing a melody while playing simple chords. So you'll be doing some chords or some rhythm with your left hand, and your right hand you can be playing different scales. There's 2 reasons to do this. Number 1, if you were just going to play solo piano, you would need to pick up some skills like this up here. And number 2, if you are just accompanying somebody and playing mostly chords, you could still do little fills. So not during the melody line, but in between their phrasings, as you've heard a bunch of times. So Johnny was a poor boy. He went to the south and drove north. So, yeah, if you're playing strictly piano, you're going to want to play the Johnny went to the Johnny, wherever Johnny went. Instead of singing it, you try to find those notes and play that melody. So anyway, so here is the scale. If you've gotten bored of doing your normal scale, here's C major, blah, 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 and you have Julie Andrews in your head so much that it really bothers you, then you're ready to move on to something else. And so this is the number 1 scale you'll use. There's lots of them. You can make up your own. There's no rules. That's the beauty. You can come up with any pattern, and as long as you keep that pattern up through all your formations, you've created your own scale, and it will work. However, here's the most common one, and it's called many, many different things. It's been called the pentatonic scale, the blues scale. Like I said, there's slight variations, different things, but here's the most common one, okay? So you take the 1, there's the 1, and you skip that one, and then for the third one, you flat it, you go down a half a step. So it's right here, right there, C, E flat, F, so you still have the 4, you still have the 4 and the 5, but not only do you have the 4 and the 5, but you got the black one right between it too. So the 4 sharped or the 5 flatted, you have both of those, and then you have the 7th, and anytime you see a 7th in a chord in sheet music, it's talking about this 7th. If they want you to play the major 7th, isn't that a pretty chord? I love that. But I digress. If they want you to play the major 7th, it will say major 7th. If it just says 7th, it means the blues 7th. It means that one. And look, you take a C chord, add that 7th, which is not in the scale of C as we know. So that's an oddball, right? If we take that and hit it, it makes it sound bluesy right away. So here's a regular C chord, and here's with the 7th. I'm sure you hear that. So let's go over this scale again. We got the first note, we have the 3rd flatted, we have the 4, 4 1/2, 5, we have the 7th, and we finish back up there again. So let's see what that sounds like. Cool, huh? You could play this actually mostly with just 2 fingers, middle finger and thumb. Oh, and that one too, I guess. But if you're going to keep on going up, you'd keep using the thumb. See? But if you're going to end it, you can use any one of the other fingers. So it's a shorter scale than the major scale. There's not too much to remember, but it's different. You have different notes in there. 2 accidentals that aren't normally in the key of C, but it adds this really cool flavor. Really cool. Oops, that was wrong. So then you can see all these little things I do that you see me doing when I'm messing around. These little trills. They're fun. That's all I have to say about that. So if you're going to be doing all this cool blues stuff in your right hand, what would you be doing in your left hand? Dun, 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 dun. So here's the thing about the blues. I haven't showed you too much with left hand rhythm. Like I said, you'd be better off just finding a bass player eventually. But if you're going to play solo piano, you got to learn some stuff. So there's your C chord. Okay. So if we're going to play blues, what does blues mean? I showed you the blues scale already. What makes the blues the blues? Well, there's 2 things. There's 2 things that make the blues the blues. Number 1 is how you play something, and number 2 is the notes in the scale that you're hitting. I've already showed you the blues scale, so what's about the how? Well, as any of us know, have listened to blues, it's kind of like a long, short, long, short, long, short. You'll see it in the sheet music put like that. Long, short, long, short. What is it? It's kind of... That sound right? Blues is most, especially in the bass line, the left hand, it's almost always based off the 5. Okay, so where's the 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are we going to do blues scale or are we going to do regular scale? We'll do regular scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the blues. There's the 5, I mean. And the blues kind of starts off that, and it works off of that. So watch. My rest of my hand isn't moving, but my thumb is moving. So it's you get it? And that's all off the 5. In fact, it is so strong, that blues feeling, that you can leave out the whole rest of the chord and just have it be implied. Obviously, you do the same thing with all the chords, and I'll go over this in much depth on an entire blues episode. But I just wanted to introduce that to you, because I wanted to introduce the scale. And then if you wanted to do something that didn't sound horrible on the left side, just work off the 5th. Whatever key you're playing in, work off the 5th. If it's in C, then you're going to be working off the G. Your fingering is always up to you, remember. There were some important things I showed you, but however you're going to do it is up to you. Alrighty. How much time we got on that thing there? 19 minutes? Okay, pause that, please.
Alright, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Or joining me. I guess us, because the camera person counts too, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm Jess from Bread and Gravy, and that is Stephanie from Bread and Gravy holding the camera. We'll see you next time, but I will leave you with your quarantine apocalypse tips of the day. And that is, if you have to wear a mask, be a superhero.